Right. We're going to get started. Well, good evening, everybody. So good news first, right? It's all good news, by the way. First, I want to talk a little bit about the conference. The district conference was terrific. And you know that because I see some of you from this call were there. Based on our feedback from our participants, that one-day format was well suited for today's busy lifestyle, and everyone walked away from the conference with new friends and membership and service project ideas. So that's all good. As you know, April is Environment Month. Protecting the environment has been a Rotary area of focus since 2020, but only one out of the 52 district grant projects this year was on the environment. Therefore, our conference focused on the environment and growing Rotary by more community collaborations and enhancing member engagement. For those of you who missed the conference, you missed the opportunity to catch up with old friends, make new connections, good food and drinks for the entire day, and the surprise line dancing. Our environmental experts, including Rotarians and community partners around the region, provided insights into protecting our land and watersheds and offered literally tons of readily available service project opportunities to all our clubs. We hope that the conference serves as the beginning of our club's efforts towards protecting the environment, both for ourselves and for our future generations. For example, did you know that there is a mini forest in downtown of the city of Summit? You can find out. Our amazing conference environmental team had developed an extensive environment resource and reference guide for clubs. That's for all of you, with links to environmental experts and organizations and more than 100 project ideas. And this is now on our website under the resource tab. To get there, you don't even need a password or login. You can access that from our homepage. So a huge thank you to the entire conference team. So any question about where you can get the resource? All right, great. By the way, there was a newsletter that just probably still in your inbox if you didn't check your email yet. And by clicking the link in the district newsletter, you can get to the resource guide. So moving on to upcoming activities. While our district Rotary Foundation team had a goal of $230,000 for annual fund this year, our year-to-date donations is totaling only at $170,000. So we are working to bridge the gap by inviting everyone to join us at a fun event that DGN Joe, I'm looking for him. Yes, I see him here. It's about to tell you about this fun event.
Hello, everyone.
Joe?
This is Joe Nastis, and we are having a fundraising event, a Rotary Foundation fundraising event, May 10th at the East Brunswick Fairgrounds in East Brunswick, New Jersey. The event will take place from noon to 7 p.m., and we are looking for donations of $1,000. This donation will earn you double points towards a Paul Harris recognition. We are also looking for approximately 30 volunteers. The volunteers will help with, we have a really large parking area, and most people can park by themselves. But I think we need about 3 people just to help direct them, and we need some people to police the grounds, go around and make sure that the trash cans are not overflowing and that sort of thing. So we need several volunteers for that. But most importantly, we need your donations. Uh, this is something that we used to do many years ago when we did Eat, Drink, and Share. So I'm sure you're all familiar with how all that works. Jeannie can tell you where the donation is to be made and how you will receive your points. If you have any questions, if you'd like to volunteer, please email me. There's information on the district website that Barry and Jeannie put on there this morning. So please look at that, and they'll give you a little bit more information about the food truck festival, what kind of food's going to be there. There's going to be music. Should be really a great time, and let's all just hope we have good weather. Jeannie, anything else?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Just to clarify the donation, if you're writing a check, your donation it's going to be payable to the Rotary Foundation. Um, you're not writing the check to the district, but directly to the Rotary Foundation. You can send it to Joe. I'm sure Joe will be calling many of the clubs, soliciting the donation. You can send it to Joe. You can send it to the Rotary Foundation directly through online for those clubs who wants to do it that way. And we will be looking at the report after the festival, the food truck festival, and we will match the foundation recognition points. So for every $1,000 worth of donation, you will get 1,000 recognition points from the foundation and 1,000 recognition points from the district. And I believe Kalpana is here somewhere, and Kalpana will be doing all the work to transfer the points to your club. So thank you for that. Anyone has any questions about this fundraiser? All right, so we're moving on. We are very excited to report that our short-term youth exchange with Japan is now in full swing. So thank you so much to our new team. DGE Bob will talk about this and RILA program coming up. Bob?
Good evening, everyone. So as Jeannie said, we're in the process now of getting ready for our first meeting with all the students, which will be a week from Saturday. We've made the arrangements for air travel and all for our students going out. The Japan side has selected their students and are working on their flights for the students to come in. We're working on the schedule for the students while they're here in New Jersey. We did have one student who asked to be put on the reserve list because he might have a conflict at his university that he's going to be attending next year with a pre-program that he'll have to attend. So we are looking for one additional student. If any of you have somebody, they have to be between the ages of 15 and 18. And we're trying to find a boy because we're trying to keep a mix of 50-50 because the kids split up when they're over there 2 and 2, and it's easier if we have the equal number of that we can pair up of males and females, but it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out if it happens to be a female. But we are looking for one more student that would like to go to Japan. They're going to be leaving here I think it's the 29th of June and coming back the 17th of July. 3-week trip. We've got our 2 leaders all picked out and ready to go. So things are moving well there. So if you have somebody that might be interested, just shoot me an email and I can get you the information that you need. RILA, we are somewhere over or close to 90 students at this point that we have either paid for or registered or whatever. We're shooting to get 110 to 120 there. So I'm going to be sending out a note to remind everybody about RILA here in the next day or two. Things are looking well there. Those of you who were at the district conference got to hear from David, who heads the program for us. He's the president of the Rotaract Club of Leadership and Service, and they've been very busy putting together the program. So I'm confident from that side things are going to be going well. So if you've got any students that you would like to send to RILA, there's still time. Again, just send me a note or go to the RILA page on our website and you'll find all the information you need there. If there's any questions, we're going to do a question and answer period at the end and we can cover anything you might have at that time. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. So, any of you have already registered for the international convention? Well, if not, it's time to do that. And this year, the convention is being held right in our zone in Calgary, Canada. Many of us are attending, and please join us. And by the way, you will see me carrying a flag at the opening ceremony, if that's of any interest to any one of you. So at least that's something really exciting that I'm going to be doing at the convention. So with that, if you don't have any questions on any of the stuff that we already covered, we're going to move on to the second part of the program. Bob is going to share with us his plans for next year. I don't see any questions, so go ahead, Bob.
All right. So we're underway here and getting things ready for the new Rotary year starting July 1st. And as part of that process, I've been taking a close look at where we are club-wise, membership-wise, and so on. Because a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about here this evening that we're going to be focusing on next year involve the clubs and membership. As we've been directed by incoming President Mario, membership is our #1 priority, and he's really asking us to focus our attention on that. And I know we've talked a lot about this over the past year or so. I've got some data that I want to share with you that I think points out where some of our challenges may be, and I've got some information that I just want to make sure everybody's familiar with in terms of satellite clubs, new club types, and some of the things that we can start doing to make a tangible difference here in what's going on with membership. So I'm going to start by just going over some data that I know you're familiar with, but I'm presenting it to you in a little different way so you can get a different view of where things have been. I was able to get from Rotary International a file that had all of our membership, all club information, and all going back 20 years to 2005. It's hard to believe that 2005 was 20 years ago, but it's true. And what this showed to me was that our issues with membership have not been caused by specific events or problems or issues. Within this time period here, we had the financial crisis, we had the merger of 2 districts, we had COVID, we had our undistricting. We went through 20 different, well, maybe not 20 because of the undistricting, so 18, I guess, district governors during that time period, and probably more because in the early days there were 2 districts. So, this is a reflection of what's happened over 20 years. And as you can see, it's been pretty much a continuous downtrend in terms of membership in the district. In 20 years, believe it or not, there was only 1 year where our membership increased year over year. And that was in 2010. it increased by 4 members. And the reason for the increase is because we added Irvington as a club that year. So a new club brought in 20-some members, and that moved us up a little bit for that one single year out of 20. And when you look at this, what you see, it is pretty much continuous and even across the board. So even as you're going through the points that I just discussed, you see some changes, but you don't see the major changes that you might expect, creating the loss of membership over the years. And just as a reminder, over that period of time, we lost 39% of our members. About 1,100 members down is what we ended up. And again, during that same period, Rotary US declined 31%, Rotary International declined by 5%. We had 69 clubs in our district that survived since 2005. And those clubs declined in membership by 661. 51 were down by 800 members, and 18 were up by 139 over the 20-year period. And again, the thing that this graph really shows is the consistency. And basically every year we're losing between 50 and 60 members, which is the equivalent of 2 clubs a year. This shows the club trend over that same period. And again, there was only one up year, and that was in 2010 when we added Irvington. And we're down from 99 clubs in 2005 to 74 clubs today. Over that period, we've lost 30 clubs. And those 30 clubs represented 565 members in 2005. Mm-hmm. During that same period, we've added 5 clubs for a total of 81 new members. So the discrepancy there is significant. And new club growth is really something that is critical, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So again, this is looking at the data on a yearly basis, and you can see in the last few years we've really lost a significant number of clubs, really since 2019, 2020, the COVID years. Before that, it was reasonably flat in terms of the number of clubs, even though the membership was declining. But that has changed in the last few years. So one of the things that motivated me to look at this data was I was looking at our membership by county in an effort to figure out how we can better organize our clubs and the district in terms of our zones and so on. And one of the pieces of data that just hit me and popped out was the fact that Middlesex County, which has a population of 890,000 people, it's our largest county population-wise, has only 5 more Rotarians than Sussex County, which has a population of 147,000 people. And what that says is that 700,000 additional people in Middlesex County produced 5 more Rotarians than Sussex County. That's a problem. In Sussex County, 1 in 977 residents of the county are Rotarians. In Middlesex County, 1 in 5,428 residents are Rotarians. So there is a huge difference in the penetration in counties. And when you look at the map there, you'll see in red the ones that are really off the charts high. Green is very favorable. Blue is kind of in the middle. To give you an idea, the penetration rate for Rotary is 1 in 1,282 people nationally are Rotarians. So if our 1 in number is lower than that, we're doing better. And if it's higher than that, we're doing worse than the national average. And to put it in perspective, if we were at the national average in our district, we'd have over 3,000 members today instead of 1,700. So it's an important consideration when we're looking at things. And, one of the challenges we've had to this point, we talk about membership. Okay, we want to increase 5, we want to increase 10, whatever. But, membership comes from the population. So one of the things we have to look at is, who is out there that we can recruit and how are we doing in that effort. The next thing I looked at was the population to club ratio. And again, we'll talk a little bit about the importance of clubs, but you'll see that in Warren County, there's 22,000 people in the county to each Rotary Club. When you get down into Middlesex County, it's almost 100,000 people in the county to each Rotary Club. So the number of clubs per resident in those counties, again, that are in red primarily, deviates dramatically from the national average. The national average is one in a club for about 47,000 residents. So you can see where we're improved over that number, where we're about the same, and where we're not at the national average. So why is it? It's the same district, it's the same Rotarians, it's the same people. One of the things that really sticks out when you get into it is that those counties where we're struggling more so than others in terms of membership, in terms of the population, are counties that are much more diverse. Middlesex County, besides being our largest county, is also the most diverse county in our district. And what that number represents, I'll read to you. The Census Bureau defines the diversity index as the chance that 2 people chosen at random will be from different racial and ethnic groups. So in Middlesex, you have a 72% chance of that happening. In Sussex and Warren counties, you have a 34% chance of that happening. Sussex and Warren mostly are much older counties in terms of age, very less diverse, high white percentage, 81%, 75%, 67% in Morris County as compared to 29% in Essex, 38% in Middlesex. So one of the things that this says to us is that we're just not reaching a lot of these other groups of people that are out there. And, we know we have a challenge with younger people, but we also have a challenge attracting some of the other ethnic groups. And as you'll see in a minute, Rotary is growing rapidly in India, Asia, Africa, Latin America. We have those same populations here in our district, and we just don't seem to be effectively reaching them. I'd like to also the population of our district has increased by about 10%, 11% since 2005. So we not only have the loss of 39% in terms of our membership, that's against 11% more people to choose from today. So, if you look at it as a percentage of population, we're actually down closer to 50%. So one of the comments that Mario has made repeatedly is that there is a co-relationship between the number of new clubs and growth. And what you see in the top graph there is the number of new clubs in India that were formed, and this data goes back now, a year, one Rotary year, but 2021 to 2023, they formed about 650 new clubs in just in India. There was another 300 and some clubs formed in Central and Southeast Asia. In contrast, in the US and Canada, we formed 106 new clubs during that same period of time. And in our district, in that period, I think one. I think maybe, in fact, no, I don't even think we formed one new club within that time period. So what the bottom graph shows, and this is Mario's comment. They have 9,000 clubs in the U.S. and Canada, and they only added 109 clubs. Sorry, 109. That's like having no kids. And if you don't have kids, you don't have an heir to leave your company, profession, or business to. And his comment was, if we don't act in 10 or 15 years, the headquarters of Rotary is going to be moving from Chicago to Delhi. And what you see on that bottom chart, in 2005, the US and Canada accounted for 36% of Rotary population worldwide. We are now down to 27%, and Asia has grown to 36%. Everything else in the middle has stayed the same based on the groups. But what you can't see in this graph is that the second group down, which is Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, all of the growth there has been from Africa. Europe is suffering the same kind of situation that we are, and especially Great Britain and Ireland, which is down similar percentages to us. So the population of Rotary is moving from the US to these other countries, but that's the reason I point that out is those same people where it's growing, overseas, we have them here in our district. And I think that if we did a better job of talking to them, we'd probably be able to get them to join our organization. So this is highlights from Mario's presentation to us at the 2025 International Assembly, which is a collection of about 520 district governor-elects from around the world and about another 500 Rotarians from around the world at this meeting. And he started out his presentation like he starts out every presentation. Membership is our organization's top priority, most valuable asset, and greatest challenge. The world is evolving, Rotary must evolve. For everything to stay the same, everything must change. New club types provide the flexibility we need to grow. We're going to talk about this. Satellite clubs, cause-based clubs, enterprise clubs, passport clubs. We must meet future members where they are. Membership is about renewing our collective strength and ensuring our mission endures. Nobody lives forever. Clubs must have a continuous influx of new members. So I know we've talked a lot about this, and one area that I want to focus on as we look to next year is this concept of satellite clubs, because I think it's something that addresses a lot of the issues that we face, and there's a tangible example here that'll talk about that. But for those of you who are not familiar, satellite clubs offer flexible membership options within a Rotary club. It's basically a club within a club. And it allows the club to have a structure that can expand the age and demographics. You could have if your regular meeting is on Thursday afternoon, you can have a club that meets on Saturday. We've talked about the environment tonight. You can have a club that is a satellite club that's focused on the environment. It can be a satellite club of young professionals. There's a lot of things that we can do, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And you can also structure the dues to be, more friendly to some of these groups that we're looking to go after. So at the district assembly, Chun Woo Kyun, who is an RI trustee from Korea and a member of the Rotary Club of Seoul Hansu, spoke to us. And this is an old club, started in 1927, and the challenges like diminishing membership and difficulty attracting younger people sound familiar. What they decided to do was to aggressively go after satellite clubs and form satellite clubs. And over a 5-year period, they launched over 40 satellite clubs with different interest groups, different demographics, and so on. Different times to meet, different geographic areas within Seoul. And their membership grew in that 5-year period from about 100 to over 400. And they also believe that the satellite clubs contributed to a broader impact on the community, addressing various needs and interests. We have today one satellite club in our district, and that's a club that was formed. Ann Walco was very instrumental in that, and it was formed out of a group of Rotarians from the Newark Club that were looking for something different. And Fanwood Scotch Plains sponsors that club. And today, I believe they've got about 18 members. But that is the only satellite club that we have today. You know, when you think about the challenges we have of folks that want to continue to have their lunch meetings or dinner meetings, the breakfast meetings, whatever the traditional way was for the club, but you've got other members that may want to join Rotary that don't want to do that. The satellite club allows you to do both. It allows newer members to meet at a schedule that's more, favorable to them, and it allows the longtime members of the club to continue to meet and do their business the way they always have. And over a period of time, the club will change, but it's a way to ease the process, and it's certainly easier than forming new clubs, which requires over 20 members. Satellite club can be formed with 8 members. The other thing that we're going to be focusing on are the new club models that we've talked about. And, Rotary now, and this is not
Bob?
even, yes.
A question. This is Mike Penders, President-elect of the Newark Rotary Club. We have plans to establish a couple more satellite clubs out of our Newark Rotary Club. I just want to understand what the procedures are and what is the process for having a satellite club launched. Can you give us some guidance on that? And transparency a bit into the satellite club that you mentioned. What are the shared resources that we can draw upon in looking to develop additional satellite clubs? Can you give us a little background on that and what the guidance is from the district in establishing new satellite clubs?
So to establish a satellite club, you basically just have to state the intention that you want to establish a satellite club. And then there's a process, paperwork and things like that we have to go through to get it set up. But the first step is to decide that you want to do it. There's no red tape. There's no particular obstacle to doing it. It's not a difficult process. You need to have 8 members that want to form the club. The satellite club members are looked at by Rotary as part of the parent club, the host club, and that's how they're listed in the Rotary roster. Although, if you go into Club Runner or you download a membership report, it will say on there satellite club member within your roster, but they belong from a Rotary perspective to your club.
Bob,
You mentioned there are 18 members in the Scotch Plains Satellite Club,
Right.
which is surprising. Do we have a list of these new members?
The list is available. Yeah. Do I have it right now? No. But
Thanks.
if I go to Club Runner and go to Fanwood Scotch Plains, it tells me that there's 18 members in their satellite club with a list of names as to who they are. So.
And now we can access that.
And well, you can't access Fanwood Scotch Plains, but I'm sure if you talk to the folks in that club, they'd be happy to discuss it with you. So, I mean, there's no secrets in Rotary. We're not hiding anything. You just can't access another club's membership list. So,
Bob, I posted 3 documents on chat relating to satellite clubs.
okay, yeah, in the Q&A period at the end, we'll go through this in more detail. But it's not a difficult process to do. And the satellite club follows the guidelines of and the manual of procedures or whatever you call it in your club. They abide by that same set of rules, but they have their own officers. They can set their own schedule. They can set their own agenda, and they can go about whatever their specialty is without having to, confer or ask permission from the host club. And the only time is if a problem develops, then things have to be worked out. But they basically function as an autonomous club within a club. And when they reach the point of 20 members, they have a choice of forming a separate club, or they can stay within the satellite club designation. It's up to them at that point. So the other thing to consider is that there are now a lot of different club types, and these club types can apply to both the sponsor club, the host club, and they can apply to satellite clubs. And again, this is just a partial list. And as Kalpana mentioned, she'll have things posted. There's all sorts of information that we will have available for you on this. There's cause-based clubs where members are passionate about a specific cause. Again, we've talked about the environment. We've talked about any of let's go down one more here. The areas of focus, that Rotary has. They can be involved in that, or they can be involved in another area that interests them. There's interest-based clubs. There's all sorts of clubs. There's motorcycle clubs. There's bowling clubs. There's sewing clubs. There's all different types of interest-based clubs that are out there that bring people together for a specific reason. Service clubs are clubs that don't particularly want to meet and have dinner, on a regular basis, but they want to get together and do service projects. There's corporate clubs that can be formed within a corporation or a business. There's language clubs, and this might be something in certain areas of our district that might be something that people would find of interest. If they don't speak, if their native language is not English, there's a structure where they can meet in a language-based club. There's international clubs. If there's an area like ours where there's a melting pot of people, you don't necessarily have to have a club of everybody from Asia or from Africa or from India. You can have a club of people that are from, they're just not necessarily US residents full-time. They're here for business, or they're here for study, or whatever it happens to be. Or they just have a propensity to be with, folks from their country. They can form an international club. And there's alumni club for those people who were Rotarians and for whatever reason, just couldn't stay with the program or moved on. There's clubs formed by people who are Rotarian alumni. So, and one interesting area also is a district-wide club, which can be formed as an online club, doesn't have to meet at a specific locality, and we can have satellite clubs within a district club. So there's a lot of different ways that we can approach membership and approach getting new membership, especially in areas where the population is diverse and people are looking for different types of experiences. And like I said, Rotary has many areas of interest and focus and new formats. Yet if you go to our website today and you're looking for a club, we categorize ourselves by the time of day that we meet. There's nothing on there at all that talks to anybody about what that club does, about any special, particular interest it has. Even a club like the Mental Health Advocates, which is clearly a very specialized type of club. We have no way today to distinguish those things that are for people who are searching for that type of information. And, it's time for a new approach, because I don't believe people today are joining clubs because of the time of day that they eat and meet. There's other reasons. So one point, and this goes back to our discussion about the environment. We are stewards of Rotary. We're not the owners. Nobody owns a Rotary Club. Mario said that very specifically in his talk to us. Like the environment, we need to manage it properly so future generations can enjoy its benefits. We have to start thinking about how this organization is going to break the downward slide and attract new people that are going to carry us for the next 20 or so years. We just have to do it. So my priorities, our priorities for the next year: getting new members involved in the district leadership team at every level so that we're getting new ideas and a new perspective on things. Implementing satellite clubs and new club formats. Creating a district advisory board to guide our membership rebuilding efforts. Replacing the AG structure with area representatives that'll be selected by the clubs, not by me, so that we maybe get more involvement from the clubs in the process of what we're trying to do. We're going to have to test new ideas and incorporate best practices. Some of them will work, some of them won't work. The only thing I know is that what we're currently doing isn't working. We have to develop a sustainable Rotaract program. We are nowhere with Rotaract. We've got one or two groups that are quite small in terms of numbers. There has been no emphasis at all placed on the Rotaract program. And we've got to start looking at Rotaract not just as a college entity. There are community Rotaracts that can be used in certain areas to, provide an alternative for the younger generation that wants to do things a different way than we do. And I think it's, the Rotaract Club of Leadership and Service, which has run our RILA program now for 2 years and will be doing it for a third, is a perfect example. They are not connected to a university. They've got members from all over the country that come together for one thing, and that is to put on RILA programs. And the energy that you saw at the district conference from, David and all, it's what is in that organization. And it's something that we've got to be able to take better advantage of. We're going to continue to work on RILA, Youth Exchange, and Interact. And one thing that I am committed to is holding more live events, but not limiting them to meetings. I think that we can get together for service projects and other purposes besides just, having a business meeting and considering that a live event. So these are the things that, I hope to get us working on as we move into the new year. I mean, Jeannie and I are been working on this all along and with Joe, and it's, we have to change. We just can't continue to do what we're doing and expect to have different results. And the only way we're going to do this is to get together as teams and work together and take advantage of the skills that we all have and the strengths that we all have and try and address some of these challenges. So with that, we'll turn it over to questions and discussion. Anybody have any questions?
Well, I can make a comment while everyone is thinking about their questions. from the statistics that Bob presented, as you can see, there are plenty of opportunities for us to gain members, right? One of the things that I've been talking about all year long is that if you look at, if we don't look at specific population with the different minority groups, let's just look at our uh, male versus female Rotarians in our district. After what, 36, 37 years, we have approximately 36% female in our district, right? And if you look at the entire population, what I see is there are a lot of untapped resources for us to gain more female Rotarians. That's how I would like to see the numbers. So I see opportunities to start with to gain more female Rotarians, right? So that's one area. And this really supports what Bob presented. And I see opportunities everywhere we look, right? In our community, in our district. So it's a matter for us to put in the effort to to engage those community members, to have a vibrant club. So when they come visit our club or our service projects, they feel welcome. They feel that the experience is it's meaningful, and hope that they will make the decision to join us so we can do more good for our community because we have more resources. So that was my pitch. Joe.
Maybe we have the food truck festival coming up, and we'll have thousands of people from Central Jersey attending. What can we do in terms of we certainly are available to allow to set up a table, set up our banners, man a table, and maybe there's some activity that we could encourage people to participate in the day of the food truck just for them to get to know us. Any suggestions from anyone?
Well, I think that's I think that's a great idea, and I think, one of the things that we can probably do, Rotary has materials in many different languages. And I think that that might be something that we look at. I think that having a representative group there from the district, that shows some diversity and gives us the ability to speak to some of these folks would also be beneficial. So we're talking to them in their language and have people that can understand what their needs are and what it is that they're looking for. Because I think that's the biggest gap that we've got to get across here and figure out how to manage.
Bob, I have a question.
So
White
Joe,
guy
we
from
will work
Blairstown,
on
New
that,
Jersey.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yeah.
With Bob, with all the data that you presented, do they look at all in the economics of it? The income levels of the new clubs in Asia versus the income levels of our new diversified residents of New Jersey? Is there any studies on that? I'm just curious.
Well, the structure, particularly in India and Africa, of the Rotary clubs, you have in both of those countries incredible diversity and gaps in income. Many of the population in India and Africa can't afford anything. They're lucky that they can get their food and water. So the Rotary clubs over there tend to be the I'll call them wealthier. They're not necessarily wealthier by our standards, but they're certainly wealthier by the standards of where they are getting together. And there's two big advantages they have. First of all, India's got 1.4 billion people. So at some point, they're going to have a bigger Rotary population than we are. But the other thing is, there's tremendous need in countries like that for what Rotary does with a lot of the hands-on work. You know, projects that we necessarily wouldn't consider a Rotary project here, like putting a toilet in a school, or digging a well for a community, is a Rotary project in those countries where it's not necessarily a project here that we would consider a Rotary project. So there's differences in the way Rotary is structured in those countries just because of the differences in the structure of the countries. But when you sit down and you talk to Rotarians from India and Rotarians from Africa or any of the other countries, and Rotary, I mentioned this, is now active in over 220 countries. We're active in more countries than the United Nations. When you talk to the Rotarians, it's like talking to somebody here. There's no difference. The passion for what this organization does is there, and the goals and the drive and all to do the work of Rotary is there. So, and there,
Has her hand up for a while.
Lori.
I can wait. I didn't mean to interrupt a thought. I just have, so relatively new, still under 2 years. I'm just looking for a better understanding or more clarification on the Rotaract clubs. Are they more 4-year institutions? Do community colleges have them? Has there been any study into, is it worth it at a 2-year to sustain it? And what if the club is in your county but not in your coverage area? Is that something that should be approached by a club that services that area? Or can any club approach, a school to offer and share information on it?
All right, so let's go to the first question. There's no time limit or age limit anymore on a Rotaract club. I could be a Rotaractor,
Oh,
but that's not the target. What they're looking for, and their primary target is young people in their 20s and 30s, but there's no age restrictions anymore on Rotaract.
so
Rotaract
it'd be
Club,
almost, I'm sorry, it'd be almost like what you were describing with satellite clubs then, right? It could just be a community around a particular.
it absolutely can be a community club. There's no need for it to be connected to a school anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so, and with respect to the school, and we had, prior to COVID in Warren County, at Warren County Community College, we had a Rotaract club that was starting up, and there was involvement by Blairstown, by Phillipsburg, and I think Hackettstown was involved in that as well at the time. The club, unfortunately, because of all the disruption from COVID, disbanded and was never reformed. But it can be done by a particular, the emphasis or the start can be from any Rotary club, but a Rotaract club no longer needs a Rotary club to be a sponsor. A Rotaract club can stand on its own. And Rotaractors are considered to be members of our organization, where in the past they were not.
Bob, we've had a lot of success with the junior colleges. RVCC is certainly a success story, and a lot of those 2-year college students moved on to Rutgers University, where we at one time had a Rotaract club there, and we're starting that back up again. We drew a lot of students from RVCC and Middlesex College as well.
And there's, look, you know as well as anybody the importance of Rotaract to the organization. So we've got to figure out, it can't be, when I was in the corporate world, we always had to say that, if something was important, somebody had to be in charge of it. It couldn't be, left over to the end of the day when everybody else had all their other work done, they started working on Rotaract. You know, we've got to figure out who's going to, you know, spearhead this project and help to get it going. There's got to be a person or a group of people more would be a better way to approach it. That's what their focus is. And then we've got to get Rotaractor age people involved. It can't be us trying to define to them what they should be doing. They need to be the ones. You know, our current manual of procedures calls for a Rotaract committee, and it calls for Rotaractors to be on the committee. That was one of those things that, you know, we had somebody lined up to be in that position, and it just didn't work out, and it's something that we've got to focus on. And,
Great. Thanks for helping me understand that. I appreciate it.
yeah.
Bob, there's a question from Donna. When and how are area representatives going to be chosen?
We're going to start working on that at the district assembly. And the schedule for the district assembly will be getting that posted here in the next, Calpina, what, the next week?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was speaking to mute. Yeah, we can work on that so we can have it out by next week, Bob.
Okay. And that'll be a major topic. I'll have some proposals together in terms of how to put the club groups and all together, but that's not going to be cast in stone. I want feedback from the clubs, and I want the clubs to be involved in this and in the process. So
About the district learning assembly, there is some of it that will be on Zoom, so that those are the easy ones. Now, there is one that's scheduled to be in person only. So while we're all here, take out your phone and put it into your calendar. That has been scheduled for May 5th. It's on the district calendar, May 5th at 6 o'clock, I believe, and it's going to be held in Madison. And that does require advanced registration so we can get enough dinner for everyone.
and that'll be at the same location that we held it at last year and where our last few meetings have been held.
Yeah.
So,
May 5th.
So Jeannie, at that May 5th meeting, is that a requirement in order to qualify for district grants? You need to send 2 people to that May 5th meeting?
I don't believe that's been decided yet, so that is something that Bob and Kalpana will need to work on.
I I think we're going to try and be more flexible than that, Ellie, and you know have both the live meeting and also a Zoom.
Well, I'm not worried about it. I'm sending 2 people.
I
So
know you will be.
I will not be there, but I will be sending 2 people
Okay.
on my club.
Yeah, I mean, it would be better if they're at the live meeting, I think, for a lot of reasons, because we got a lot of work to do. And the more people we can have at the live meeting, the better. But I don't want that to be a stumbling block for clubs that, you know, they can't get somebody there, but they want to be involved in the district grant program.
Thank you.
I have some good news, given those statistics that in Ukraine, we've actually seen a proliferation of Rotary clubs, new Rotary clubs forming, and new Rotaract clubs associated with them. So if that can happen in Ukraine under the current circumstances, I think that bodes well for our district in New Jersey.
It also doesn't hurt that the general secretary of Rotary is from Ukraine.
No, but it's more, I think it's more profound than that. It's that these people are struggling. You know, this is very explicitly a war against Western values, and Rotary represents the best of Western values in terms of voluntary association and protecting that in service for their community. So I think it's a significant development that Rotary is actually growing in Ukraine. And with Rotaract clubs at the spearhead of that, and they were the ones that hosted us in Kiev a couple of years ago, and have continued that good work. So I think if they can do it in Ukraine, we should be able to do it within our district to grow our clubs and our Rotaract and satellite clubs as well.
I have no doubt we can do it. We just have to put a plan in place and work on it. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't. You know, the values of Rotary and what we're involved in as an organization speak to a lot of the values and things that younger people and you know, people from other countries want to be involved in. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do a better job of selling this organization. There's no question.
Great.
And before I forget,
and
Michael,
Bob.
there's a Ukrainian exchange student in one of the districts in Pennsylvania. And, you know, if you're doing a presentation at the international convention, I don't know what the arrangements would be for her. She's a very articulate young lady. And I can get you the name and the contact person. Maybe it's somebody that could be involved in that.
No, we are actually, as I demonstrated, we have these wonderful paintings from these children about art therapy that Rotary supported in the shelters, and we're going to be exhibiting that at the convention. And there's, anyway, many Rotary clubs around the world supporting Ukraine, and we're going to have a whole section at the convention discussing our work in Ukraine and encouraging other clubs to participate. So it's very encouraging to see this ICC. It's an inter-country Rotary club focused on Ukraine. And I think, you know, like in New York, if we can do it in Ukraine and grow Rotary there, I think we can do it in our district in New Jersey.
Thank you.
Bob,
Yes,
Bob Zaglarski here. I'd like to just make a couple of brief comments.
sure.
So Rotary grew out of the progressive era here in the United States, and it was a time of social solidarity when Rotary's values aligned with that of society. I'm not sure that's the case anymore, and that's said to be one of the reasons why Rotary is struggling nowadays. When I joined Rotary in 1995, our club still had a lot of prestige in the community. Rotary was a great brand, and there was demand for people to join the club. And there were other types of civic organizations in town as well, and people that joined had time and a lot of money. All of that has changed, of course, and that's probably the reason for the decline of membership over the years. About 10 years ago, I believe it was Facebook that helped a lot of clubs to stay alive, as well as the fact that Rotary International eased a lot of its very strict rules on attendance and the makeup of clubs, which you're discussing now. But clubs really, I don't think anymore, Facebook is tapped out, all of the things that we've been trying and that you were suggesting are still difficult to implement on a club level only. Clubs can't do it alone anymore. And that's why what I've been speaking about over the years is that there needs to be some kind of a public image, a regional public image plans. Clubs who are successful have been doing their public image by themselves with no help from anybody else. Of course, Rotary International offers all kinds of aids and that's appreciated. And Rotary International, we know, will never get involved in a regional public image campaign. But if we're talking about best practices and we're encouraging clubs to gain members, they need to do it at least partially, if not almost all the way, through a good public image plan that includes things like social media and others, so that they can create demand for membership in their club. Right now, it's still difficult to answer the question in your own community, what is Rotary? So again, but a regional plan doesn't involve just the club. It has to, at least in my estimation, involve the district, where the district is somehow getting to all of the people, especially those in Middlesex County. I live at the bottom of Middlesex County, across the street from Monmouth County, and my closest Rotary Club is Freehold, New Jersey, which is 5-6 miles away. Otherwise, to go to another Rotary Club in my area of Middlesex County, I have to get on the Turnpike or Route 1 or Route 130 or something like that. So I would hope that a regional public image plan and executed well can help clubs create with the demand for membership in their own clubs. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. I think, what you're talking about falls in line with our incoming President Mario's message this year, which is Unite to Grow. And one of the reasons why I want to try and look at the way we manage the AG structure and getting the clubs together is because I think that, I mean, I've seen it in our county, and I know where we are is a very different place than Middlesex County. But, the clubs in Sussex have been working together on projects. The clubs in Warren County have been working together on projects. Blairstown falls in between. We've been working with both, and I believe that it's a benefit to the clubs because they can build off of strengths that one club might have. You don't have to duplicate efforts as much, and it's more people working on the project. So that's one of the reasons why really trying to relook at how we manage that, I think, is important. And I think particularly in areas that are much more densely populated, it can make a big difference. So, but I agree, and I can tell you that President Mario definitely agrees with that statement, that getting everybody together and working together is key to the organization being successful.
This kind of leads to my question that I typed in, but I'll ask it here about cross collaboration across Rotary clubs in order to at least get satellite clubs started. Like for me personally, I'm in Berkeley Heights. Within earshot is another club. When I start to strategize how to do a satellite club, more than likely I'll probably reach out into their towns. So why not work with that Rotary Club too, or even those that are close by to me to at least get things rolling. And if the numbers do get larger, then we could break it up and that sort of thing, but at least just kind of get the momentum going.
Absolutely. I started a conversation, which I will connect you to the few individuals from Summit, New Providence, to start that effort. As you know, Summit, New Providence, and Berkeley Heights, you have the same Chamber of Commerce, right, as one community organization. And there are a lot of similarities in terms of um, population, demographics, interests. Many of those things are really aligned in the three towns. So certainly that's something that we can kickstart in doing. So.
And I think it's not just for me, personally. I mean,
Yep.
I'm just saying it as an example. I
Yep.
think all of the clubs in the district can probably try to find some way similarly. Because the way I'm kind of seeing this organization, Rotary in general, it's hub and spoke, right? You have the top down district, and then above that, international, all the zones and international. But then every club is kind of fending for themselves, right? Um, I've never, I mean, as I grow into the organization, I'm going to get to know some of the people here, and I've done so in the past events that I've been at. However, why do we have to wait for the next meeting to do that? Like how can we do this more efficiently as a district? You know, there's a lot of things that we have in and I think Robert mentioned stuff like Facebook and things like that that kind of helped us along. Let's continue that trend. Let's look at various technologies that can help us work together, not just waiting until the monthly district meeting. We can talk to each other. We can chat with each other. There's so many things we can leverage here. Someone needs help with public image, I mean, I'm part of the public image for district uh, with uh, with Brian and a couple other people. So we can try to make ourselves more accessible um, via technology, and not just via sending an email and hopefully I'll respond back in a day or two or a week or so. Who knows? But there's other ways to go about this, I think.
I agree with you.
Mhm.
That's why we asked you to head up technology. So,
Yeah,
we're
and I
looking
have
for you
some
to help.
ideas. I mean, I can give a suggestion now.
And there's nothing to prevent clubs from working on their own with each other. I mean, I don't believe any master plan that brought them all together, up here in this part of the district. Um, the only unique thing I'll point out, I think every one of the club presidents up here is a female. So that might have helped the process. I don't know. But they all got together and they're all working together. And I can tell you in Warren County, we haven't had any outside influence that's helped us. Sussex County is very fortunate to have Ellie up there working with those clubs. And, it takes a unique individual sometimes to be able to bring the different people together. But I think out here, they saw the need and, they've been working together on different projects. So,
By the way, for those of you here who didn't hear the news a couple months ago, we appointed Gregory Chu to be our new technology director. This is not a replacement for for Barry. Just want to make sure. It's not the same position. It's a new position, and we're looking for new ideas, new directions for someone who's a trained and current technology professional to lead us into this new ways we can leverage technology so we can operate the district and our clubs more efficiently through technology. So everyone meet Craig Chu here, and that's why we have you, Greg. We're counting on you to bring in the new ideas along with the rest of the public image team. So for those of you who are on this call, who will be, if anyone's interested in joining this effort, let us know. The more, the merrier.
Thank you, Greg, for your service. When and where is your next meeting of your club?
For Berkeley Heights,
Berkeley Heights,
Tomorrow?
yeah.
yeah, Wednesday, next Wednesday.
And whereabouts is it?
It's in Delicious Heights, in Berkeley Heights. It's a
Delicious
restaurant
Heights.
town.
Sounds good. All right.
So, I mean, one of the huge things that I was floating with Bob and with Jeannie is to have a district-wide communication platform where all of us can stop, well, not stop, but have a supplement to email and use a chat platform, namely WhatsApp, because I know a lot of us have that already. It's a fairly well-established communication platform, and it's easy to do stuff like announcements and push notifications and things like that. I personally was able to get almost all of my club members into a WhatsApp group, so we don't have to wait for our lunch meetings to talk to each other. If there's an idea, we talk to each other, we tell each other ideas, and help each other out along the way in between meetings. I think we could do that at a more macro level, where if someone has some issues, things like that, then they can ask a question, and anyone that's on the district who wants to be in this community can, if they have an idea, they can answer. If you want to start up a group in there, then great, start chatting. Every club can have their own WhatsApp group where they can bring all their members in, so they can do something similar to what I'm doing. And there's some other clubs I know that are already doing this too, like the Caldwells and things like that. So, and I find it, sorry.
Morristown also. We use Google. We use the regular messaging, but we have 68 members, so I have to break it up into 4 different groups.
Right, exactly. It's a good way for on the district level for, say, Bob or Jeannie to send out information. Because me personally, I don't know how many emails you get, but I get lots of emails a day, and many times I could miss a Rotary email, but I don't miss a push notification. So I don't know if you guys are in the same boat, but I think it may not completely replace what we have as far as email blasts, but I think it could at least help. Um, I was thinking about also creating channels in there. So say one for public image. So if you have a question about public image or have some suggestions, you have the 3 or 4 of us in the public image committee there in a group channel setting where you can go and ask your questions. And we can build on that too. It's organic. It's a work in progress continuously. I think it's technology wise, it's a lot less restricting than email. So if you're all on board, I can give more details about that.
And
I think
also
we should
we're
start it,
looking,
and those that want to join will
Yep.
join. So
that's right. Yep. And also we're looking at the possibility of potentially using something like Constant Contact instead of Club Runner, and to be more efficiently communicate with everybody in the district. So these are just a few examples of the things that we're looking into.
any other questions?
Greg, this is Sam Madali. I use a WhatsApp very frequently, but with the club size of what we are, about 1,100 members close, do you want to consider when you're starting something new, either Signal or Telegram has a capacity up to 1,000 people? Just a thought if you want.
Sure. WhatsApp community has, I think, a limit of, I think, 2 or 3,000 in the community. So I think it will
be up to, I think 300 in the WhatsApp is the max.
in a group.
Yeah.
I'm talking on a community level.
Oh, that's different. Okay.
Yes.
You could do that. But the Telegram has no limit, and that's why. It's up to you.
Yes. I like Telegram too. I
Yeah.
also like Signal.
There you
I have
go.
all of them. So I just picked one that I believe would probably have the better adoption rate.
Perfect. Let's go with that community. Sure.
Yeah.
Bob from Monk.
Sam, you're one of the clubs that has the honor of being a club that's grown since 2005. So congratulations to Roxbury.
Thank you. Yeah, we actually adding 2 more members this month again. Our goal is to reach 60 members this year. I guess before Jeannie steps down, and maybe at your inauguration, we'll be happy to see that we'll be the biggest club in the district 7475.
It's funny, I was with a guy today, he's an old friend, that was a member of your club when Rotary allowed women in. And he said that it ripped the club apart and a bunch of people left and went to Randolph.
Back
And,
in 1990.
yeah,
when
they've all come back together and, somehow they survived
I mean,
that trauma. So,
really more women than men in my club. I feel like sometimes the voices are very strong and they do a fantastic job. Everybody does a fantastic job in my club.
Hey,
We
Sam,
love-
wouldn't it be nice if everybody here strive to have their club to be the biggest club in the district?
That's what we are hoping for.
That's right. We're gonna grow leaps and bounds that way, right? I do have a question here from President Bob on Montclair. Where do we find the form for the final district grant report? It is on the website, exactly the same place where you apply for the grant. Bob, does that answer your question? I hope he's still here.
I don't see Bob Jilarowski.
Yeah, it probably answers my question though, but if you go to the District 7475 website and you put in anything about a district grant in the question box, you go to a page that was last updated in 2022. And finding the district grant stuff, I'm sure it's easy for some people, but it seems convoluted to me.
Bob,
Okay.
I 100% agree with you. I just did the district grant for our club and it's a pain in the neck. And we're going to change how that's structured. It can definitely be much easier than it is today.
And Bob, I sent you a link to Pam's email for her to help you out. Did you see that?
I know that a person at the Montclair Club, I believe it sent Pam a couple of emails since last week about.
Okay. Yeah. We'll help you out. No problem there. Anyone else have any more questions? We went over a few minutes already.
Just a quick question to Joe. When is the truck festival, Joe? I have not seen any emails on that yet. I'm sorry.
May 10th, it's a Saturday.
Great. Okay.
And you can send me your check anytime before that, Sam. Thank you.
Happy to do that for you.
I know you always do. You're very generous. Thank you.
Get off it. I just haven't seen any email. I'll take care of it.
All right. Anyone else? If not, thank you very much for being here. Stay tuned. There will be emails going out about the District Learning Assembly, and please get onto the website and register for that event for May 5th for the time being. So good to see everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Jeannie.
Thanks to everybody for joining and for your attention and your participation. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.